Hello everybody, welcome to another home workout recorded live from Rex's gym. Hope you're doing well. Today we're going to start slightly different. Instead of starting in our walks, I want you to start off in the hip flexor stretch. We're just going to hold that hip flexor stretch for about 30 seconds to 60 seconds each side. The idea of this is just to check out, if we start with some static stretching, how does the rest of the body feel throughout the warm-up? We know that sometimes giving you a little bit extra range, especially in the front of the hip and the front of the shoulders, can really help just basic movement quality. Let's switch sides. So if throwing a little bit of static stretching in before we start our warm-ups might feel a lot easier to get to the warm-up. You might not notice a difference at all, but again, we're just trying to find out what works best for your body. So if you really feel a difference, if this feels better, then just keep doing it, all right? All right, let's get into our high knee walks. In general, most people will tell you not to do too much static stretching. So we call static stretching where you hold the stretch for 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 2 minutes. Got some good reasons for it. Mainly, it's been shown pretty convincingly that if you do a lot of static stretching, you can't create power as much. So your rate of force development goes down. Now, which, that's pretty significant if you're an athlete, try to be as powerful as you can in the gym. If you're just trying to get a workout in, it doesn't really affect the overall results as much. And the one area everybody kind of agrees on needs to be opened up is the hips. So hip flexor stretches are if there is a rule not to do static stretching, are the exception to that rule. But again, it comes down mainly to personal preference. If you like doing a little bit of static stretching before your workout, then keep doing it. If you don't notice any difference to your workout, then don't do it. You don't have to. It's just an option. Now today, it's going to be a little bit more strength-based. We're going to work, continue to work on what we worked on last week. If you don't remember what we did last week, don't worry. The exercises will stay the same. The reps and time periods will change a little bit to reflect how much fitter we are compared to last week. All right, we have a little bit of a prep circuit. We gotta have some side plank clamshells in there, 10 one side, 10 the other side. Regular glute bridges, 10, and we do that for 3 rounds. So follow me. We're in a side plank position, knees are bent about 90 degrees, elbows directly underneath the shoulders. You're gonna lift your hips up, push them forward. From there, open up. So your feet stay on top of each other, hips stay on top of each other, shoulders stay on top of each other. It's just that you open the hips up by squeezing the side of the hip, back of the hip, the glute complex. Now some more completely useless information. We call it the glute complex, because there are 3 major glute muscles. The big one that we refer to as the booty or the glute, and then there's 2 slightly smaller ones on the sides. Those smaller ones are in charge of pushing the leg out. So when we say rip the floor apart in the squat, then those are the muscles we're trying to activate. After 10, in our glute bridge position, remember palms up, shoulders back and down. Squeeze the glutes before you lift, and then 10 good quality repetitions. Now keep that hip rib connection, so we don't want this distance to get bigger throughout the movement. We want that distance to stay nice and stable. That way we know we're not working from the lower back. Again, this shouldn't feel overly hard. It's a warm-up. It's preparing you for doing that same thing with harder exercises after this warm-up. So I'm not expecting these clamshells to be super hard for you, but if we're going to do this, let's say, in a single leg exercise where we're trying to keep that knee out, then those muscles should be ready to go. And that's the reason why we do this sort of stuff. And one more round. Now there is some options today for equipment. If you have the equipment, you can use it. If you do not have the equipment, you don't have to use it. How convenient. Now if anything, we want to feel a sort of burning sensation in the side of the hip. At least feeling that you're using those muscles. Right? I'm not talking about complete fatigue. Like I'm not talking about, okay, let's do a set of push-ups until we can't do push-ups anymore, and that shaking and deep burn lactic acid in the muscle. That's not what we're after. We want to feel that area being worked, but not exhausted. Activated, not annihilated. So the glute bridges. All right. That's our prep circuit. Today, we're gonna do a 7-minute AMRAP. Well, we're going to do 2 of them, but the first one will look like this. We'll have 12 split squats each side. Try to stay nice and upright. Remember, in that split squat, in the bottom position, we want knee, hip, and shoulder pretty much stacked on top of each other. And it's not a bad idea to start in this position and then drive up for your first repetition, so you know you're in a good spot. 12 one side, 12 the other side. Then the full exercise is feet elevated push-up. So you have your feet on an elevation. I'm going to use my bench and just do full push-ups. Now, as we discussed before, if feet elevated push-ups are too hard for you, do not do them. I don't want to get to the point where the movement is just pushing the head forward, not getting full range. Your easier options, regular push-ups, hand elevated push-ups. We have talked about this before, but I really prefer hands elevated push-ups over kneeling push-ups. That's why we do rack push-ups when we're in the studio. It's just a lot better for the core, for the shoulder blades, to keep that long position in the body instead of going onto the knees. So you pick your push-up option also for 12 reps, and then we have the first option of the day, which will be using a band for a tall kneeling palloff press. So I want you to set the band hip height on a sturdy surface, kneel down, hands right in front of the sternum. Now think of this as a kneeling plank. That's the position we want to be in. So we don't want to arch the back, we want to keep the core nice and tight, press out, control back in. 12 on the one side, 12 on the other side. So everything is 12 this week, where last week everything was 10, and we're adding 1 minute to the circuit. Last week we did 6 minutes, this week we do 7 minutes, because you're just way more of a badass this week. If you want to add weight to the split squat, you can, but rule number 1, full range of motion. All right, if you are all set up, and I'm all set up, might as well get cracking. 7 minutes, starting in 10 seconds. 3, 2, 1, nice and stacked, 12 reps. Now we want to work kind of continuously for those 7 minutes, but our number 1 objective is to really fatigue those muscles. So it's probably better to do a moderate pace, where we're not going super fast, but where we're just focusing on using those muscles and really giving them something hard to do. Ooh. Then we have our feet elevated push-ups if you can. And then we'll grab our band, tall kneeling, nice and stacked, press out. And the other side. Nice and moderate pace. Work the muscle. And then back into split squat. So that was about 2.5 minutes. So I might get about 3 rounds in. Keep tilting that pelvis, so lifting the belt buckle up. You might feel a little bit of a hip flexor stretch in that down knee, which is absolutely fine. push-ups. Again, I'm sticking with my feet elevated. You pick your option. Kind of tough. All right, abs tight, nice and tall. Ideally, you feel this on the side of the core. Like I said, kind of tough. We have a little over 2 minutes left to go. Set yourself up nice and stacked. 90 degrees, 90 degrees here. Ninety, 90, glutes on, abs on. And those push-ups. Whew. 45 seconds to go in our first 7 minutes. Whew. I'm feeling it. Fifteen seconds. Three, two, and time. Whew. All right, I felt that. I felt that. So, the idea here is to challenge the muscles, right? So I can tell you, I really feel my quads working, split squats, but those push-ups and the palloff presses still activate them. So my legs feel pretty pumped right now. I've done a good squat workout. I really feel the chest muscles from those push-ups, and I feel my core muscles, which is what we want. Now I'm a little bit out of breath, which is fine, but the main element we're going after here is fatiguing the muscles. We'll go into our second 7-minute AMRAP. We're gonna start with a squat, 12 reps. Now, your no equipment easy option is the prisoner squat. Your equipment option is a goblet squat. So holding onto a weight, a dumbbell or a kettlebell in that goblet position. Today I will use a dumbbell. I've got my 20-kilo dumbbell here. So the movement will be elbows to the inside of knees, knees out, feet nice and stable, chest up, head tall, and then drive all the way to that lockout position. 12 reps. After 12 reps, that one doesn't stand up. We go into feet elevated, side plank, knee ins. So we have both feet on our bench, lifting the hips, and from there the top knee comes up. 6 reps one side, 6 reps the other side. Then we're gonna do a hamstring walk out, which is where that glute bridge of the warm-up comes back, and then small steps walking out. Keep the butt off the ground, and then small steps walking back in. This should be a lot of hamstring work. Now, the main thing that we're after in that hamstring walkout is keep those hips still. We don't want the hips to be swaying from side to side. So stability comes first, and then try to work on that range of motion. But tilt that pelvis, lift your belt buckle up, feel the glutes holding the hips up, and then the hamstrings are responsible for your actual walking. So it's an exercise for that whole backside. I'm warm, and the sun's coming up. I've got my leopard print Team Esteem going to help me through these next 7 minutes. Alrighty, starting in 10 seconds. So we start with our 12 prisoner or goblet squats. And start. Keep that moderate pace going. A little bit slower. It's probably going to be a little bit better than fast on this one, unless you have a very heavy kettlebell at your disposal. Hips up, keep them still. And switch sides. And our hamstring walkouts, 6 of them. Tight, tight. Tight, tight. Tell you, that's a challenge. Keeping that pelvis tilted, keeping the glutes working, should feel that. So that's a little over 2 minutes in. So, moderate pace. Like I said, don't try to rush this. Try to control it. Feel those muscles work. 3 minutes in, so we're almost getting to the halfway mark. Hips up, pelvis tilted. Tell you what, I'm feeling these after the palloff presses and all this, they're working. All right, can you keep that pelvis tilted? Whew. Got about 2.5 minutes left. And this is one of those exercises where we're trying to spread the floor and use those little side muscles in the glutes we talked about. Ooh. Under 2 minutes. Coming up to the minute mark, don't rush, do it well. Last 30 seconds. Let's do another set of squats, guys. Time. Well, I felt that. All right. Have a drink. Catch your breath if you're like me and you're a little bit out of breath. And then we're gonna hit some stretches. Now the first stretch that we're gonna do is a doorway stretch. So I want you to find a doorway, hands against the sides, and just step forward and walk through. I'll do something very similar. However, I will use my trusted TRX. There we go. This is going horribly, horribly wrong. There we are. So, you should be in this position. They have forearms against the door frame, so very similar to me being here. Keep those shoulders down. One foot is forward, one foot is back. Now I'm not hanging myself into it, because I'm trying to stretch, have that chest open up, really spread the Team Esteem logo. And then you can experiment with how high your hands can be for your best stretch. For me, those elbows out about 90 degrees is where the magic happens. Next up, we're going to do a couch stretch. So we're going to go back to our elevated surface, in this case, the bench. Put one foot on the bench, sink that knee down, and then hold that position. Opening this hip, stretch your feet through here, and then you can try to work your butt towards your heel or slide that knee slightly further back underneath the bench. Deep, deep breaths. Now, use the stretching again as a little bit of a check-in tool. How did that feel for you? Did you feel that the little static stretching we did before the workout helped? Did you feel absolutely no difference? Knowing those things about your body can really help you create the ideal environment for your body to do its exercise and make the exercise a little bit more enjoyable as well. If you feel you're more ready to go into those positions, like the split squats, like the prisoner squats, or the push-ups, it can just make stuff a lot more enjoyable. Switching to the other side, taking note of any sort of right-left difference that you might feel, or maybe you're perfectly in balance, unlike me. Well, it looks like spring is back today. Gotta have that hashtag fake spring in Canberra. Gotta have at least one, maybe two. But today looks very promising, so I'm hoping you're gonna use your allotted time outdoors. Get amongst nature. Get out of the house, people. Matter of fact, take the day off work. The door next door agrees. You should take the day off work. All right, last stretch. I'll move it back so you can see that we're in a Rex's gym again. Sit down, legs straight. I'm gonna do the L sit. Apologies, you're very crooked, but that's okay. Our first priority is try to sit very upright. So, calves on the ground, heels on the ground, toes pulled up. So we're not allowing those toes to point out. We're keeping the toes up to the ceiling. Then try to sit up straight. If that's a challenge, just prop your hands behind you and lift that chest a little bit more. If you can feel the stretch throughout the back of your legs now, that's absolutely fine. If this does nothing, you can try bringing your chest towards your knees. But again, what I'm not looking for is just dropping the chest and hunching over. Like, I would like you to stay tall through the chest. All right, guys, that's 2 workouts done this week. Man, you know, to get through that, you must be a legend. Even if you only did 1, you're a legend. And if nobody has told you yet today, now I have. So you can't claim that nobody has told you. Now all you have to do is live up to it. All right, guys, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.